Okay, well, let the fun games begin. I test fitted the engine, it will fit. Well, the first next up is to remove some parts from the engine, because this is just for the sides, but not very handy. Got a lot of parts coming in already. So now I'm off sorting out the parts that are all in there and now on the workbench and down there. There's still some left inside which we're going to remove so we can work a little bit better on it. Going to put them in the crates so we can stash them away and leave the parts we're going to use and need under the workbench so we can grab them real quick. So we need to order on how to start the project so we can tomorrow make a first test fit, cut some parts to see how we can hang in the engine on the subframe, or at least we're not going to hang it in the subframe, we're going to hang it on the chassis. That's, in our opinion, a better idea and way stronger for this big heavy engine. Well, now the fun stuff can start. We got one RS3 wiring loom, one engine, well, one almost empty Mark II Rallye on the ramp, straightforward, so we got some room to play. So now it's time to get the parts out, unboxed for this, get the crates out where the parts we're going to work with are staying in. So the fun stuff starts right now with rebuilding a Rallye RS3. Now let's start clearing out a little bit on the engine bay on both sides. So some parts that are in our way and we won't need anyway anymore. So we're going to take some brackets off, clear out a little bit of the paint to see where the engine mounts will end up. Let's start with that. So this needs to go, and the engine mount will be around in this spot. And same over here. I'm going to take this off, and then we're moving the engine in place. Little things you come across. So I just had it sitting on the movable table and I was fitting it in, but in my mind it wasn't going backward far enough, so I decided, well, put the engine mount in. These are in a bit of an angle. At least they should be straight with the frame, and now they're in a big angle. So let's lift the engine a little bit, fill it up, see that we can get this straight and see if we can go a little bit farther backwards. Ta-da. Kut zo, ik kan er niet bij een beetje. Well, a little bit more tricky than expected with everything on my own with the forklift, but it's on the grade. And this is looking way better. So hopefully I can now go back as far as I want. So let's see. Let's go way further back. Well, the engine is in there, but I think that's about all we can say about this. The height is around the good height. Maybe we can play a little bit with it, but I want to go further back, and we need to go further back for a better alignment of the axles. But there's no room. So the gearbox is hitting almost over there, and well, that's a little bit too tight. So I'm going to cut this open a little bit and going to make the original shape of the chassis, just dent it inward a little bit, and that we will only change the thin sheet metal at the top. Same on this side. Cutting out a little bit over here so we can enlarge the dent or the shape of the sheet metal a little bit. So that would be all. If we look at over here, so I marked down the center of the tunnel a little bit, and well, over there is the connection for the drive shaft. So that's looking good. Now we want to go back. This needs to go way more there. So it's not too bad. I think we can mostly keep the original shapes, just some flow forming the chassis rails a little bit, and then it should be good. Okay, it is in. This is far enough, but take a look at this. We are still hitting the frame rails over there with the gearbox, but this is the perfect spot on how the engine should sit, I guess. And over here it's the same. We're hitting over there with the engine mount, but the location should be good of the engine. Over here we're just next to the subframe, and the axle location is pretty much close to how it originally is. I checked even a VR6 Mark III, and the axle spot is around the same height and same position as where I am at right now. So that is looking good. But check what I know. DQ 250 gearbox. And if you can see over here, this whole point, there's a lot of room. So that's all about it on this gearbox. And here you can see the DQ 500. So the DQ 250 quits over there, and this one goes straight forward. So that's why we got way less room over here. I know a lot of people, or there are people that install this engine with the DQ 250 gearbox. And then, yes, you got some more room, so there's no adjustment needed. But as you can see, when you want this engine to go further inwards, there needs to be some slightly indents in the frame rails. But what I'm going to do is keep the original center reinforcement of the Rallye frame rails and only dent it a little bit on where the engine is sitting. So that's what they did with the original engines as well. They made some indents to fit the engine and everything properly. So that's what I'm going to do as well. Only indenting it a little bit on where it's needed and not changing out the strength of the frame rails. I'm not sure how many times I already had to put it in and out, but here we go again. Well, these are fine thread just to get the right mounts for the engine, and then we can weld this all in the chassis. So now I want the engine to sit in a straight line. So I hope you can see this. It is pretty much in a straight line on the engine. Over there at the gearbox to the chassis leg is kinda okay. So I'm going to first make this one in the chassis. Well, this is actually in a straight line now. It's fitting here. I should be able to tack weld this motor mount in, but I want to take a couple of checks first before I do that. 4.3 millimeter, and I'm over here 4.8. That's 5 millimeter higher. But if I look at this engine mount over here, it's a little bit angled, so theoretically if we push it up, it should be straight. Okay, before we're going to close off this crazy hole, first some small repairs. Let's get this hole done, this cleaned out, so we can straighten out everything and that the motor mount will later on look factory. Well, the first big step is going to make place. I'm going to tack weld in the first motor mount. I wanted to lift it around 5 millimeter on that side So I'm first going to tack weld this in so this won't move out of place anymore, because over here it's fitting all perfectly. And then I can maybe put the motor mount in, underfill it so it can sit on the chassis, and then I can make a new motor mount for that side as well. And quickly put it in the radiator beam. Probably not going to use it anymore, but just to be sure, because we grinded some holes in the chassis rails, I wanted to make sure that everything is still in place at the point that it should be, and this fits right away, so that's all sitting and going good. It is on the floor. It is in, it is hanging. One side is tack welded in the new engine mount in the frame rails. The other side I put some shims under it so we can move it around and can measure the perfect new engine mount for the other side. But it is hanging in and I'm really satisfied. It's flat, it's straight, all aligned. It is looking really good. I can still move it a little bit to get the final details done, but this is looking pretty insane. And oh yes, it's a tight fit. There is almost no room to play anymore, and this side is even more crazy. But nonetheless, it is almost there. Aligning it with the rope. Next time I will put in the laser to measure it perfectly. This is just the mock-up, and as you know, this side is still loose. It can, well, it can wiggle a little bit, so we can move it around. I need to order some parts, the under mount, so we can get it straight as well. So it's now up to get some information and some more mounts ordered so we can weld it all in the next episode. Thank you all for watching. Like and subscribe to the channel. And well, I am happy on how this is coming along.